Strap in for a roller coaster ride where curiosity, humor, laughter, and the odd case of wisdom is applied to understanding the adventure of life.
Welcome to the Rawle Gene Show, the power of coaching, guided by two knuckleheads who invite you to sit in the front car with them on this ride.
Trust us, it's not as serious as it sounds.
And high fives are included. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 17 of the Rawle Gene Show. And I think my co-partner here in crime is shaking his head because we are definitely going to be re-recording those scenes.
I swear. I look at it and it's like I scare myself. Trust me, it's not that.
For those of you who are listening, come check it out on YouTube before we re-edit that down because it's hilarious.
Maybe we should just keep it. Maybe we should just keep it for the mere fact it cracks us up. Hey, this is a homemade show, man. We ain't got no high production and high, we don't have a high crew to shoot us and make us look good. So
we're just trying to do it all the little bits on our own, right?
We're just making it up as we go, man.
What are we performing? Or are we underperforming here? I don't. Maybe.
Ooh.
Little segue into our topic today. Where we're going to be talking to
professional.
We're trying to really up things. Well, we do try to improve something every show, which is definitely, I think it's a bit of the antidote to what our topic, our coaching tip of the week is: facing overthinking and being plagued by underperforming. Some may call it analysis paralysis, or just getting stuck, trying to figure out where the hell are we supposed to be going, because our little brains are so great at creating things, super awesome at creating things. Sometimes we lose fact of what we're supposed to do with it. So this is something that Rawle and I have faced within as we're working on building up our mastermind, building this podcast, our one-on-one coaching that we're doing all through Peel Back. I don't know if you're officially set up on LinkedIn yet, but Rawle, we're doing this together and building something cool. So
yeah.
But we've also been plagued by the overthinking bug a little bit.
Well, I think, sometimes when you have, a lot of tools or a lot of experience and you're building something new, and particularly when two people come together, you overthink it, or maybe it's not so much overthink it. You try to go, you always feel that you have to position something new. You always have to create the new wheel. Yeah. And a lot of times, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just have to, trust what you know and do, and just get at it. And it's not so much overthinking. I mean, I don't know if that's a true statement. I don't know if you can overthink. It's just so much. Which thoughts are you hung up on? Which thoughts are you adding into that internal dialogue that keeps you, or gives you the impression that you're paralyzed? So
yeah.
It's like, excuse me, I can't remember the exact saying, but a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow, right? And a lot of times we're always looking for that perfect plan, and perfect in the sense of we're trying to minimize as much risk as possible, or maybe looking for a guarantee. If I do this, is going to produce this. Well, what if it doesn't? And then you start, worrying and all
trapped in that.
Yeah. So you get trapped in that. And for me, it's a lot of those thoughts are kind of irrational or really not prevalent. You pay attention. If a lot of things that you worry about or you fear rarely ever comes to pass. So you spend a lot of that mental and emotional energy on thoughts that are really not relevant, or overthinking what you actually know. Maybe it's not overthinking, just not trusting.
Right? I think that's probably like there's some truth to both of those. Is like, what are you not trusting?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is like stopping and going, what am I actually reacting to?
Yeah.
What is actually coming up in, like I'm thinking about these things, making all these glorious plans in my mind, and there's still like this weird energy that I'm feeling, which I'm now trying to think myself through,
Hmm.
which in the reality is you kind of got to feel yourself through that and like stand into that and experience what is happening in this and ask
Yeah.
yourself questions like, what am I reacting to right now? Like, what am I choosing? And is what I'm thinking about like the goal that got me down this rumination? Is it important? Yes, no. And
Yeah.
then choice and then actually make the choice, which part of I think when I say make a choice is like choose and do. Like the choice is actually you need both the parts of those keys to come in to make the choice.
There is no try, there's only do.
There's only two. Oh, my kids just love when I say that.
There's no try, there's only do. I don't know. Sounds good in the movie. There's a value to trying as well, because sometimes, not sometimes, when you try and it doesn't pan out the way you think it, you learn from it. You know,
Right. And
in sports, some athletes, some coaches don't believe in moral victories and that sort of thing. I think everything we do serves a purpose. You know, when you talk about overthinking and underperforming, you know, the other way you can say that is procrastination. And, you know, I'm not a big proponent of procrastination because I believe everything happens when it's supposed to happen in the right time. So, you know, it's how do you look at that time period that you feel that you're not, you know, maximizing effort or you're not maximizing time. These last two shows came out of the experience that Gina and I have had over the last couple of months with the Me I Don't See, and you know, here we are, two coaches, very experienced, have been doing this for a while, and you know, we have our programs and so forth, and yet to some degree, we weren't trusting that we were trying to reinvent the wheel. And it's like every time we try to reinvent the wheel, we had to make it bigger and better and all this. And it's like, I'm not sure how it came about, you know, but we realized, are we doing this for us or for them? Who are we doing this really for? And we've got enough experience and enough positive experience from our clients saying, you know what, you guys are, you got something good, do that. So we kind of put the oars down and slow down the rowboat and go, okay, what are we doing? Why are we trying to
I
reinvent the wheels?
I'd flip that around as like we actually put the boat in the water, right? Is like the oars we were sitting on land and just rowing like crazy, going, why aren't we getting anywhere? This feels right, right? Be like, yeah, it's the right motion, but we were in the wrong environment for it to be effective.
Yeah, we weren't
And I think,
definitely. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, and that's definitely a big part of like when I lean into procrastination is like, like it is procrastination useful at times, and it's the same thing as like not getting stuck there. And I think we talked about this in some of our earlier episodes around like anger and the power of laughter. Is like, don't get stuck there,
Yeah.
right? Is like, are we varying the amount of time we're spending in procrastination and the amount of time we're spending in thinking, the amount of time we're spending in execution? Each of those are all like valuable places to go experience, to go do the things, get some knowledge from it, reiterate, and go again. It's like it's a complete process. We talked recently about how the comfort zone is an energy of process and how entire life is just an energy of process.
Oh, it is.
And so it's like, are you letting that process and that energy flow?
Yeah.
And if not, what dams are you putting in place? And
Hmm.
how are you wanting to remove those?
Yeah.
Are those dams serving you going, hey, maybe you shouldn't be going down this route for a good reason, or going down this route like makes you have to recalibrate who you are and
Yeah.
what your life is going to stand for. Both of those are important things to stand with and like explore a little bit.
And I think the key is balance. Is finding the balance between thinking and really, looking at it at what it is you want to do. How do you want to accomplish it? You know, you do try to, you know, what part of mitigating risk is to try to understand and make certain assumptions with regards to the outcomes, but not trying to out control outcomes because, you know,
Mhm.
I'm a believer in I rather have the opportunity than someone trying to control outcomes. When you control outcomes, you negate, basically a lot of times you negate opportunity. So it's just about balance, and recognizing, especially when you're building something new, or you think you're building something new. A lot of times whether we admit it or not, maybe it's subconscious, you want to know that it's going to be successful. It's going to be successful. It's going to be
Yeah.
successful. Well, it's going to be successful if you do it, and even if the perception is you failed. To me, you're successful because you put it out and you're going to learn from it. And if it's something truly valuable, if it's a good idea, but maybe it was just implemented wrong, you didn't have the right processes in place, you learn from it, you adjust, you fix, and then you go back and do. That's why I say there's a balance. You need to think, but you also need to think and then put it into action. Because if you're just stuck in thinking, it's going to be frustrating. You'll never do anything. So there comes a time when you just have to say, you know what? I think we've got this. We could sit here and fine tune it all we want, but a lot of the fine tuning actually comes in the doing, in the production, and learning, like you said, the process.
Yes, the learning is like the learning can actually occur until you put it into practice,
Yeah,
until you start moving towards that direction you want. It's like,
yeah,
how do you know if this is the thing you want to accomplish
yeah,
unless you've started to take some steps towards it and go, oh, this
yeah.
is hard.
And that's kind of
And
what we.
that's okay.
Yeah,
And do you still want to do this hard? Does the destination, your goal, your outcome, whatever word you want to use for it, does it still excite you? And are
yeah.
you willing to go do some hard things to get to it?
And this is kind of where we came back to, because you talk about process. All life is a process. We're just a process, and it's just recognizing that. And that was part of our process, and recognizing, what, we've got we've got good structure in what we've done before. And it's like being, as an ex-coach, a lot of times coaches, you make it to the big dance, and then you feel that you need to revamp everything. No, trust what got you there.
Yeah.
Now, as a coach, you need to you scout your opponent to the best of your ability, understand their strengths, their weaknesses, you game plan accordingly to combat that. And then you just have to do. And it's not even rolling the dice, is not about chance. It's trusting the process that you went through,
Mm,
because it's proven, in the sense that, well, you made it here
yeah.
from there, so it's proven. Now, can it take you the full distance? One way to find out:
Get on the field. Like
get on the field,
it's
put me in, coach, I'm ready to play. Right.
yeah,
And
Celine just added, it's like if we stay stagnant, it's like pond water. Pond
yeah,
water gets that scum on it because there's no movement in it. Things will grow, but like, is that the environment you want
that's
for
not
it,
what you
for your
exactly.
life?
Yeah.
Right? Like in the choice, that combination of like thinking, going this direction I want to go, and then taking that step towards it. You don't have to take a lot of steps, just take one bold action towards it on a regular basis.
And this is
Is
what.
like those That's that antidote, is like simplify your plan and just find the one
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
and freaking go do it.
Simple is best sometimes, and sometimes it's okay to not fully know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
not to know everything. I mean, geez, I don't know what's coming in the next second. There's no idea. You don't, just because the sun rises every day, there is nothing to say that it will rise tomorrow.
That's
Just
right.
our experience, because it's happened. And you have to trust that. But technically, there is nothing in our makeup that says the sun is guaranteed to rise tomorrow. We just
There's
have
a
to trust
probability for it.
a
Right?
high probability because of experience, but that still doesn't guarantee that it happens. And I think that's part of the problem with overthinking and then performing. We're constantly wanting a guarantee. There's no guarantee. The only guarantee is to do it and see what comes from it. And the parts that are good, you hold on to. The parts that don't work, you let it go. You learn from it, and then you let it go because it didn't work. Once again, did it not work because the idea was a bad one, or was it the implementation, the practice, the process? Those are things that you can adjust. But you just you just have to. It's like Remember back in high school, going to the school dance, you want to dance with the girl, but everyone's on the wall and nobody wants to dance. And you're sitting in your mind, you're dancing with her, but you're stuck on the wall as a
Yeah.
wallflower. And then you're sitting there all scared, and you make a few attempts to go ask her, but oh, she might say no. And that, that fear can be paralyzing. And the underperforming, and it's not so much the overthinking, but the underperforming uh will breed a lot of resentment, because then you'll start really doubting yourself and go, why didn't I do this? And excuse me, afterwards the regrets. I used to always tell my students, you know stop making wishes. The time to make a wish is when the opportunity was there, right? Because afterwards, in hindsight, you can't grant that wish. That moment has gone. And I think, as scary as it is, you have to find a way to push through. And this is what Gina and I said. You know what? We're going to trust. We initially had the me I don't see. We're going to do a two-part workshop. And one of the things that we both agreed on, we don't want something to just be an event. We want it to be a process. Because life is a process. The internal work is a process. I started doing my internal work back in 2002, but that was just the first initial. It's an ongoing process, constant. So, I think once we recommitted ourselves through that affirmation that, you know what, we had the right idea. Now we're just overthinking it. And once we did,
Well, yeah, we were building a ton of like busy work too,
yeah,
right?
we were
Because
busy.
like the busy felt good, right? Busy kind of
Yes.
has like a shade of like, are we being productive? Are we doing and we're doing things,
Mhm.
but they were actually not the right things, and we were putting too many pieces in place all at once, trying to go, if we move them all just a little bit at the same time, things will happen, right? Let's just put it out there and hope for the best. Is like, well, we actually weren't doing a whole lot of anything. And when we
Well, we
pulled
were
it all
doing a
back and
whole
looked
lot
at
of,
it, when
sorry.
we were fucking around, right? Like we weren't I will take my place as going like, there's a component of like, I didn't want to be the guy rejected at the dance. So
Yeah.
if I didn't put myself out there, I wouldn't get rejected. High five. I accomplished what I was trying to avoid.
Yeah.
But at the same token, be like, you've got to learn from that, and we got to step into it, and we have to embrace that we do, and that we can bring more of this out, and that we actually have to focus our energies a lot more, kind of like that laser, and finding out what we can cut through. And we've learned that we cut through the noise and we cut through the crap and went, oh shit, this is a lot simpler than we were trying to make this.
Well, for me, I mean, it all serves, and it's all a value. It's just like, you're building a house, and then you finally, the house is done. Oh, it's not done. I got to do this, and no, the house is livable. You can live in the house. You can fix it while you're living in a house. No, no, no. It's got to be perfect before we move in. Well, then you'll never move in, because you'll always find something needs to do, and then you'll go back and redo things that's already been done, right?
Yeah.
Because you're afraid to move in because of this idea of perfection. Is it perfection, or are you trying to control the outcome to the point where you're paralyzing yourself from actually moving in? And for myself, when building the me I don't see, it's like I'm sitting there scratching my head, going, "What are you doing?" And when I go, "What you're trying to put in here, you've already got in other things. Why don't you just extrapolate it from there and put it in here instead of trying
Yeah.
to reinvent the wheel?" And but then again, like I said, I trust the timing, because we needed that time to go through that process ourselves. One of the things people think about coaches or therapists or psychologists, whatever, anyone that works with helping people, is like, oh, they got it and they never, you know,
That is so far from the
that
truth,
is so
right?
far from the truth. We were just like anyone else. I just been blessed with an ability to have an insight to see things in a different way that can help people. And I, at this stage of my life now, I tend to practice what I preach with myself, and we demonstrated that with each other. But I still don't see it as a wasted experience, because that experience really taught us. We were playing small. We were more or less not necessarily trying to come up with controlling the outcomes, but we were doing things that maybe we forgot why we were doing it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
trying to change the, the game plan that got us to where we were, and somehow thinking, well, this isn't good enough. No, it's good enough.
Yeah.
We were ready, we were enough, but I'm glad we went through that. And part of us doing these last few shows is to be honest with people, and to say, hey, the me I don't see is coming, and here's why it's been delayed. It's not you, it's been us. Because I'd rather feel ready to do it than to rush it. And this is
Well,
why
and
I
I
say
think
it's a balance. You have to find that balance with thinking and doing as well. So sorry.
right. So like we flip this back around as like one of our things that we're holding each other to is like we're pointing this outwards, saying, hey, here's what we're experiencing, how overthinking and complicating all of our own steps internally and as a partnership have slowed us down.
Mhm.
But we know that happens to other people too. And
Yes.
that's why we want to kind of be like a little bit open kimono here, is like saying like it happens to us. It happens to everybody. Stop it right now.
Ooh, open kimono. I feel like Homer Simpson all of a sudden.
Right? Is like, and one of our internal ahas has been like we've redefined like our direction, but I think that also helped us redefine what we think of success.
Yes.
Right. And success is like love and success. I find those are two big words that people use a lot to like measure things in their life without actually defining them. Going, well, it's undefinable, but yet we're going to hold ourselves accountable to something that we're not willing to define.
Yeah.
So constantly missing it and then using that gap as like a weapon against ourselves. Here we've had the opportunity to redefine what success is going to look like for the business side.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we're getting excited about working towards this. And it's no longer about are we going to get there or when we're going to get there. It's like, who are we going to learn to be on our road to get there? And that is the most exciting part about setting this goal and what our success is going to look like. We know it's going to take time to get there.
Yes.
But who are we going to unlock along the path within ourselves getting there? And one of those things is like, oh yeah, simplifying it, finding one thing, taking bold action.
Yeah. And to add to that, I love that, who are we going to be, who are we going to unlock? But I also like the person that I am right now. I think when you're doing any of these things is who you're going to be at the end of this process, but how do you want to be in the process?
Yeah.
Right. And I think we both realize, we're worthy, we're enough, we've got enough skills. I don't think there was a underlining doubt, but we definitely got hung up in trying to be not so much perfect, but thinking like, again,
be fancy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fancy. That's a really good word. And just be ourselves. As much as I have a few programs outlined in regards to stuff, I rarely follow it. I trust every time I meet with a client, what needs to be dealt with will come out in those sessions. And so is just do it. Let's just get together and talk and see what's going to happen. So we just decided to go back to simple Fred Flintstone bedrock simplicity. Stop overthinking it. We've got enough intel. We've got enough experience. We were on the right track as opposed to creating an event versus a process, because I'd rather have a process where people know that you're going to start here and it's going to take this path and this amount of time to get to this point. And let's trust the process by doing the work. So if we're going to put that on you, we have to practice it. And that's what we decided. You know what? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Someone must have made a comment.
She missed the black and white T-shirt memo. So there's a reason I wear a white shirt more often than not, especially in my other shows. Like the lighting down here, if I wear any other color, like the reflection of the color of my shirt impacts the video. And I actually noticed when Rawle's wearing a darker shirt that the lighting is more lights him up as well. So there's a little bit of rhyme and reason behind the coloring of the shirts and trying on different things. But
Well, my shirt's
yeah,
not really black. It's pink. It's just a black light. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm sorry, Serena didn't get the memo, but
next Friday,
next Friday.
you pick your own at home and definitely have some fun with it. I'll most likely be in a white
You
shirt
have
and
no
Rawls.
idea the thinking that went into picking this out.
We put a lot of planning into it. We definitely don't just like reach into our closet and
I
pick the first thing that our hand
pull
grabs.
out a shirt and then I go, okay, telepathically, talk to me, Gene. Talk to me, Gene. What are you wearing today? What are you wearing today? I don't know if you ever saw, I was at Hacksaw Ridge, Clint Eastwood. He was a Marine drill sergeant, and every day the platoon had to try to guess what color T-shirt that he was wearing, and if they guessed wrong, they had to run. So, but no, you know, life is it. The biggest thing is just to jump in, right? Sometimes the best way to learn is just to jump in. Well, we've learned. We've been learning. We'll continue to
Well,
learn.
let's add on to that a little bit. Is like there's the component of jumping in, but there's the component of are you going to trust yourself to learn in that
Mhm.
process? Part of that learning is going you are in the process of doing, and because of that, you may have some times which could be, I'm using air quotes, failure, but that's the open opportunity to learn. Like when that failure comes in, is like
Mhm.
celebrate it. I was just watching like a clip from Ed Sheeran on a podcast or a radio show where he was talking about we don't talk about failure enough, and he's
Yeah.
just like the only reason I am Ed Sheeran who I am today with all the success is because I was a kid who couldn't sing, who couldn't play the guitar, picked all those up, and now I'm where I am. But I had to suck along the way to becoming where I am. But I stayed consistent with the practice of going, I want to learn how to sing and I want to learn how to play my guitar and see where
Well, this
that
is
takes
why,
me. And it's definitely took them places.
this is why the light never shows it up without the dark, love without fear, success without failure. The way we think of it, because we live in a world of duality, but they're partners. They are partners because how can you understand success without failure? And failure is really not failure. It's just another opportunity to learn. Okay, what worked? What did not work?
Yeah.
Because it is so true. Part of success is failing, right?
Mhm.
You're going to fail. You're going to fail actually more than you succeed. Think of baseball. They pay these guys millions of dollars, right, to hit a baseball. And you're only successful maybe 33% of the time. Out of 10 at bats, if you're a good hitter is a 300 hitter, right? One guy, yeah, one person has still only hit 400 in all of baseball history. 4 out of 10 hits. So that's 6 times that they fail. And yet they make it. So it is a necessary part of success is to fail, is to fall down. How else are you going to learn, particularly when you've never done something before? So you could plan all you want, right? But eventually you have to dive into the deep end in the pool and see, can I tread water? And am I going to learn to tread water or am I going to drown? And you call it a leap of faith. No, it's not a leap of faith. We're now deciding we're going to trust what we've done, how we fine tune what we've done, and now we're just going to go, right? There's no fear of the deep end of the pool anymore because we've jumped into the deep end of the pool many times before and have survived. So
And
more
we
than
know how to
likely,
swim to the edge, find the ladder, and that's that big thing. It's like we trust in ourselves to learn,
yeah,
right? We trust in ourselves to do the debrief, to go, what worked, what didn't, what are we going to start doing, what are we going to continue doing, what are we going to stop doing? Cool. Start again, relearn, bring it all back in.
yeah,
Keep doing that simple ass process. It's like,
simple as
where do I
process.
want to go? Do I trust myself to do the debrief afterwards? Do the thing, debrief, go again.
And the thing is, we didn't beat each other up. We didn't feel sorry for ourselves. We didn't go, oh, that was just, because to me, like, we talk about overthinking. It's not so much overthinking; it's which thoughts are you taking and putting into your internal dialogue.
Yeah.
So when you feel that you haven't achieved what you want to achieve, I no longer beat myself up. When you beat yourself up for those things, that's what keeps you stuck in those things. So Gina and I was like, we had an honest, like, what's going on? What's going on with us? What's going on with you? What's going on with me? And we were honest. We cleared the air, and it's like we both realized, okay, we have to just trust and do. We were on the right path, if you want to look at it that way. But it was okay, like I said, because I trust the timing and the learning that came from it. And it's not just the learning; it revigorated us. It energized us, actually, in a way we weren't energized before. So to me, it was a valuable experience. And for those that are interested in the Me I Don't See experience, we appreciate your patience. I hope we've done a good job to communicate to you where we were in the process, and why we put things on hold. But it's fall, baby. It's September. I mean, it's already August the 11th. And so we're, 2-3 weeks away from the start of fall. And kind of reminds me back in my early recruitment days, summer was always slow, but when September came about, everyone's going back
September to
school.
December is wild time.
Yeah, from September to December, it was time for us to really cook and to make our money. So it's the same attitude, really feeling excited about the coming season, and really launching this, but not just this, just what we're doing with Peel Back, and wanting to create a movement, an organization that is truly about empowering people and building community, which is something that's very important for both Gina and I. And that was reiterated in this time, in this process. And that's why I said it was a valuable experience that we went through, because it just really, for me, clarified our vision, clarified the long-term vision, and realizing, okay, now that we have that's out there, it's right there, I can see it. Come back here now. What do we need to do to get to that point?
Yeah,
it's already there. We're already thinking. It's already there. The goal we set for what we want to achieve every month is there. We're thinking that. We're already feeling it. Now, what do we need to do to physically manifest it and make it happen? So.
And it's been simple little things, right? Like, even since that conversation, for us, like, look what we've already accomplished is, like, we've got a ton of our content being distributed now as short videos, sharing the clips and the things that we've been doing from our shows. Our show is actually, this show, episode 1, for those who are watching, you can go follow us right now on, like, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio. What's up? Oh, Sirius XM apparently is in the process of loading up on my other screen, right? So, like, we are going to be available across a lot of platforms. So go check us out at the Rawle Gene Show, the power of coaching, on whatever podcast platform you use. We're going to be pushing that outside of this show a little bit more once we get a couple more episodes up there. But over the next couple of weeks, is like, we dedicated to keeping it simple by just cutting it down, deploying the audio. The live cast continues to be, it's going to be live. We're going to be interacting with people. And then we're curating that down to, a 25, 30-minute episode that people can take with them on their commute and hear about these things. And we've shifted away from the expose component to our coaching tips, which we're actually going to be getting to here in the next few minutes, is like being reliable with ourselves. And we even relaunched Peel Back, the website.
Yeah, that's coming soon, very soon, actually. And as a poet, I'll always find ways to incorporate poetry. But Gina's right, and we talked about maybe creating another vehicle where we can have poetry as part. Because one of the things I'd love to do is to challenge my business friends, many are very creative, but may not think they're creative or don't practice their creativity. Because I was one back in my corporate days. I was thought of myself as creative, but I didn't really practice or do anything to bring out that creative energy. So we'll find a way. But I love doing this live cast, and Gene, we talked about turning it into a podcast, which is that's come about. So that there's a small success.
Yeah, right? We didn't have that 2 weeks ago.
We talked, but we weren't at episode 16, 17?
17.
17. When we first started this, we had no idea if we would even do another one, or well,
Yeah.
we figured we'd do at least maybe 5. Here we're 17. So, by the end of this year, who knows what? And that's the thing. And to me, that's the beauty is of the unknown.
Mm.
When we think of the unknown, we always think about the negative side. What about the positive things? I mean,
Yeah.
I'd love to see where this is going to be. Not a year
A
from now,
year from now.
just by the end of the
6
year,
months, a year.
6 months from now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Uh, who knows where the me I don't see is going to be? A lot of it has to do with us, and a lot of it is things you just cannot see and anticipate, and you just have to trust. You have the skills, you have all the tools that whatever shows up, you have the ability to deal with it. You do your due diligence in thinking, but also using all your skills and tools to think reasonably, create a plan, and then just do it. And if you're fearful of starting, talk to someone that can push you. Talk to someone that you trust that can hold you accountable, right? Because Gina and I hold each other accountable. Did you do your emailing today? Did you do your writing today? What did you do today? Well, this is what I said I was going to do. So I make my to-do list. Okay, this is what I owe Gene. But it's not so much owing Gene, me. It's for me. Are you going to keep your promises to yourself?
Are you going to become the person you trust the most?
Yes, and that's why I said during this process, I understand and that's why I agree with you. The person that we will be different down the road. But who are you right now as you're doing these things? Do you like the person that you are as you're doing these things? And if you don't like certain components of yourself, be honest about it and go, okay, what do I need to change? How do I need to change it? Do I need help? Do I need someone that can maybe step out of the emotions of it with me to help me to look at it in a different way? And then at the end of the day, that's I always tell people with coaching, you can go to all the coaches you want. At the end of the day, you still have to make a choice, and then you have to do it.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't matter, what is in front of you and what support you have around it. You have to come and take that. You have to put that effort in. You have to spill your own tea, the time, effort, and attention. Are you willing to make your own tea?
So you have to spill your own tea. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. It's a work in progress. I guarantee Serene probably liked it.
Can you drink my tea for me, please? No, I'd rather spill it.
No, like a cat knocking off the table.
Oh, you killed me, man. Welcome to the Rawle Gene Comedy Hour.
It's a great acronym, though.
I know. But no, you're bang on, man. And one of the things we do is we laugh a lot even when we're not on camera. Humor is an amazing thing. I think we did a show about laughter early on, and maybe we'll revisit it because for me, I've always been a person that loved collaboration. I love working with other people. I don't like doing a lot of things by myself. So, when we're building, and our meetings are like what, maybe an hour and a half. Mostly it's very short and concise, but we have a lot of fun doing it. Right? We laugh a lot, and it to me when you it's like cooking. When you're cooking angry, you could taste it in the food. But when you're cooking and you're joyous and you're cooking with love, and I love putting on music, and I'll sing, and my nieces and my nephew will be like, Uncle Rawle, who did that song? Maybe you should let them do that song. But it's fun, and then you feel it, and you taste it in the food, and it's the same thing with this. You'll feel it, you'll taste it, because going back again to we're committed to helping individuals, people, teams, whatever, but we're committed to helping uplift our human consciousness and building community. And we don't just talk it on here, we do it, we practice it with ourselves, and we have a lot of fun doing it. Right? This is why we laugh so much, because sometimes I'm laughing at just inside jokes and I'm not telling anyone, but it's just all experiences are of value.
Yeah.
When they're not of value, it's because how are you looking at them? Are you being stuck
Yes.
in the negativity of them, or can you step out of the emotion of it and look at it in a different way? So,
Well, you're kind of like segueing into our coaching tip of the week then.
well, apparently I have some skills, so
The segue.
the segue.
All right, so here's the segue. The coaching tip of the week is all about overthinking and the concept of underperforming. The reality is it goes beyond convenience. This is all about standing in the hard and challenging. When in doubt, we laugh and say, do the George Costanza, do the opposite. If you find yourself overthinking and underperforming, this is an opportunity for you to stop and take a sanity check. Ask yourself some of these questions. What am I reacting to? What am I choosing? How are these currently serving me? What is blocking me from moving forward? And what are the emotions it's bringing up? After you've done that, think about what commitment do I need to make to myself? How is this serving others and building community? And at the end of the day, simplify your plan, find one thing, and then take some bold action towards it.
Yeah.
That's it for our coaching tip of the week.
Well, and when we were talking about this yesterday, it's like I was the one that brought up do the Costanza.
Yeah.
For those of you who may not understand, George Costanza was a character on Jerry Seinfeld, the Seinfeld show back in the day.
Show, yeah.
And George was this kind of lovable, bumbling idiot who tried many different things, many different professions, and just never succeeded or could never maintain success or whatever. And I guess one day I can't remember how the lead up, but anyway, he got tired of it and he bust into Jerry's apartment. He goes, Jerry, I'm doing the opposite. And he goes, I'm just going to do the opposite of everything I was doing before. And all of a sudden, he got a job working for the Yankees and he got this great girl and blah, blah, blah. He couldn't sustain it. But the point was, do the opposite.
Yeah.
Do the opposite of what you're doing. Sometimes it's that simple. And we overcomplicate things. We try to make things more complicated than it needs to be. So, yeah, that was great yesterday when I said, well, during the Costanza. So,
well, my friend, as we wrap up this show, great conversation around overthinking and seeing where this is all gone. And thank you to everybody who's watched along while we're doing this live today. Thank you to Serene, Neil, Mark, and I believe my wife Jen also gave us some love out there. So we all appreciate it. Thank you so much. And now as well, if you want to follow us along here. We're here every week live on your favorite platform, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Make sure to hit subscribe, like, follow, all the things. And as well, you can find us on your favorite audio platform, the Rawle Gene Show, The Power of Coaching. Episodes are releasing weekly.
And tell your friends, tell your pets, tell your grandparents, come check us out Fridays.
Tell everybody.
Tell everyone, to our so-called friends, we're going to challenge you. Bring a friend along. Bring a friend along. So, anyway,
there's plenty of room for everybody here at our table. Anyways,
jump in the pool.
All.
The water's warm.
All right, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Oh, one last thing. It's the legal language. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals.